Non peut-être, and welcome to Shift+F1, a podcast about speedy race cars. Almost tripped over the Belgian French there. Welcome. That is a phrase that takes a bit of explaining.
Okay.
In regular French, it literally means no, maybe. But in Belgian French, it means yes, certainly.
Wow. The wars must have been started over this.
This explains a lot about relations.
And it's basically how I feel about Spa. It is one of F1. Is it one of F1's great races? Kind of yes. And kind of no. I am Drew Scanlon. Joining me, Danny O'Dwyer. How are you, Danny?
I'm doing great. It's great whenever we race here and it doesn't end under a sort of a one-lap safety car situation. I'll say that. Although you could argue that a lot of Spa's greatest moments have come because of the particular weather of the Ardennes forest.
Also joining us, Rob Zachney. How are you, Rob?
I believe Spa is innocent of all charges. Spa cannot fail. Spa can be failed by different racing series, different racing specs. And anything that happens to Spa should be your cue that you need to change.
If you are new to this podcast, a very warm welcome to you. And if you are new to Formula One itself, we've got an episode just for you. Our preseason primer episode assumes no prior F1 knowledge and explains how the sport works and who everybody is. So if you would like to go back and listen to that, it is episode 338. Also, this show would not be possible without our audience over at patreon.com/shiftf1, where every month we release ad-free versions of the pod early, along with bonus podcasts and videos exclusively for our patrons that cover racing documentaries and films, F1 video games, experiments with other racing series, and a lot of weird things. So if you would like to support the show and get access to all that fun stuff, head over to patreon.com/shiftf1 or click the link in the show notes. What do we have going on this month, Danny?
Well, we are moving on from death races to great races. Drew has suggested that we watch the 1965 classic movie, The Great Race.
Classic question mark?
That's for our patrons to find out exclusively at patreon.com/shiftf1. I have a little birdie told me, though, that it has the greatest pie fight in cinema history, which, as we all know from recent Oscars years, is a very coveted award indeed.
Oh, yeah. It also, I think it dovetails nicely with the original Death Race was a race across a continent. This is a race around the world, Danny.
A race around the world?
That's right.
Is that what you're telling me?
That's right. It's actually based on a real race, a car race from New York to Paris.
That seems
figure that one out.
Ill conceived, I would say. Yes.
The movie is also sort of the
watch out for that iceberg.
The basis for Wacky Races, which becomes apparent in the opening credits. It's really something. I've watched it.
I'm looking forward to it, and not just for the pie race. I also love the you reminding me that Death Race was originally the original version. Of course, we did review both Death Races, but that classic Corman one was across America, even though it is painfully obvious that the moment they leave New York, they are filming in California for the rest of that movie. But look, we're not going to dwell on that. So yes, loads of great podcasts available, loads of great movie reviews available for the patrons. And a massive thanks to all of our incredible title sponsors: Zylander Alguersuari de Plots de Produce, the Military Industrial Complex, War Izzle, R.I.P. Egberto and Igor Foreman, That Video Game Podcast, Let's Margot Racing, Eaching Wells, Dr. V, Deange, It's a Me Ferrario, Nicotine Pouches, Mojo Nixon, Get Rich or Die Ryan, Agave ATX, Cyphers Trading, Turf SCS, Michael Maves, Cigarettes, TelemetryDoc.com, FTC, Bottas Calendar 2026, Drew Stewart, Rich Energy, they're back, Bailey Foot, Abraham Getchell, The Lolly Lilalo, but hashtag Bunny Fiend, Snigs, Alex Goucher, Jeff Foster, Troy Stammer, William Rumpf, Lachlan the Madden Man, Samurai Love Story, and Jason Kelly. Thank you all so much for your support, and all of you for listening to us each and every week.
Yes, indeed. All right. Well, seeing as it is the Belgian GP pre-race episode.
Shall we have a little Frankenschamp, boys?
I'm Frankenchomping at the bit for the rest of this episode.
Wow. Great. I was trying to come up with a Death Race Frankenstein joke, but...
that would have been good too.
That's better.
It's pretty good.
Before we get to Belgium, we're going to hit some news here, such as the news section is. Little light on the news this week.
This is a great news section. I don't know what you're. This is a murderer's row of oddball headlines as we barrel towards the summer break here.
Well, the first one I'm going to start with here is I think fairly important. So Max Verstappen had 2 crashes recently, one in Austria and most recently in Silverstone, as a result of his car not working right. I'll just talk to the Silverstone one, spun off the track because, as he said in quotes after the fact, the rear wing basically didn't close fast enough, and so by the time he turned, he did not have enough downforce to keep him on the track. So if you recall what it actually looks like so Red Bull and Ferrari are both running what is called the Macarena wing, which instead of just flipping open, instead flips all the way upside down, so that when they're going down a straight, the upside down nature of it actually provides lift instead of downforce, reducing the drag, and thus has to flip all the way back over before entering a turn. I assume that the time between him hitting the brakes and it actually, providing downforce, like flipping back over to be able to provide downforce, is what causes that upset of the car. And the FIA, it seemed, this is what the news story actually is about. The FIA is now talking with Red Bull and Ferrari about their Macarena wings on safety grounds to make sure that something like this doesn't happen again. It is believed that they are mandating that the transition, although I don't know that this is actually new. I don't know. It may be that the stipulation in the existing regulations is that the wing has to transition within 400 milliseconds. But perhaps they are just either enforcing that or that's a new regulation. But that is what they are going to be talking with Ferrari and Red Bull about, because it would not do to have a 4-time champion fly off the track at Spa for the 3rd time in a row.
Yeah, I don't know. If I'm Ferrari, I'm like, we haven't had these problems though. Like this is one of those. We came up with the idea, we implemented it. Neither of our guys has gone flying into a wall at a fast corner. I think you just need to talk to Red Bull. Is one of those things, because is a faster transition even fully the issue? It seems like when the transition is completed is where you run into the real problems. You know what I mean? It's like
it's too abrupt,
or it's just, if you have a transition like that happen when you already have steering input going, you're starting to load up the wing with as you're cornering, and then you have a sudden kick of downforce arrive. That seems to be what unsettles a car in this situation, and it seems like it is the arrival of that downforce that may trigger the issue, less so the transition. Now, it might be that the transition is taking too long so that the downforce comes in too late in the corner. But again, that is one of those things where I don't know what the technical regulations stipulate on this matter. It is possible they just have it so the active arrow kicks in at certain distance markers, and they haven't verified whether or not the transition is complete past those distance markers. But one Ferrari argument is, if Red Bull's having trouble with the transition, then Red Bull should be putting in tolerances so that they have all the downforce they need coming into the corner, rather than it being a wing issue. This is one of those things that can be solved on the team side, rather than revisiting the entire concept.
Yeah, unless it is it's brake controlled, right? So if it starts flipping back over when Verstappen hits the brake, and it still is just not completing it fast enough, I think there's 3 outcomes, right? It's either Red Bull says, here's our fix that we're planning to do, where we know that it will work, and they test it in practice and it does, and whatever. The other second option is the FIA says that's not good enough, or you don't have a fix, and therefore you need to run your old spec wing, which Red Bull team principal Laurent Mekies has said that they would do if in the interest of safety, if they can't come to a good solution. And the third is that the FIA says, you know what, none of this at all. Red Bull and Ferrari, both of you have to run non-Macarena wings, which I think would be a shame because, like you said, Ferrari hasn't had any issues. And it's a fun, weird thing on these cars. The wing is weird, and this is the kind of innovation I love to see.
Yeah, interesting innovation for sure. I can see how, teams are always looking for an edge, and generally I feel like generally they don't do that in ways that where the the opposite side of that edge, the sharp edge of it is dangerous or like pushing up against safety grounds. So I see why FIA is getting involved, maybe to save the teams from themselves to a certain extent, certainly in Red Bull's case. But we don't want to see those happening. I think that, the one saving grace perhaps is that, like, at the point in which he'd be hitting brakes, it's generally on, those types of corners are generally the places where they have the barriers set up, in the best way to collect a car, as opposed to, say, when Grosjean crashed or something like that. So, but yeah, I can't imagine that's very fun to drive, to be not being able to trust the car in such a basic way when you're trying to find every inch. And look, we're going to Spa, and we know that this is a track that has been modified even in recent years because its ability to take the lives of young drivers who have difficulty in corners, and that's always the fear, is when a car gets in traffic, when a car spins out, that it can land on the wrong part of the track, and then it becomes a much bigger deal. So yeah, I can't argue with them pressing this based on the two incidents that Max has had anyway.
Spa's an interesting one because Spa's a great example of, as far as I know, none of the fatalities, because there have been sports car fatalities in the last decade as well, in addition to the Antoine Hubert incident. But as far as I know, at least the open wheel ones have always been sort of second impact crashes, and that one's Eau Rouge, Radeon, like that is a tricky one, where you're going to go off. But these sort of just go flying off the course ones, we have been lucky insofar as they've happened in places where there is a decent amount of runoff before you go flying in the wall, and you don't go. There's no way for you to come back into traffic from these errors. But yeah, it is something that they definitely are going to have to look closely at. But this is one of those things where I do think Ferrari is within their rights to, obviously, the FIA has different obligations here, but Ferrari's within their rights to say, this is kind of a skill, one of those skill issue type things, right? Where yes, Red Bull need to stop giving Max a car that crashes out, but that is a implementation of the design rather than the design itself.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're coming up on the halfway mark of the season. Still a couple more races until we get to the mid-season break. But Danny, silly season has just begun.
Yeah. So let me just try and piece this thing together, because there's a couple of different variables here, and I didn't get that much sleep last night, which I was not partying. I'm just, I just had a little bit of narcolepsy is the opposite. What did I?
Insomnia.
Insomnia. There we go. Yeah. Okay. So basically, as you said, silly season is likely to rear its head in the next couple of races. This is obviously when the teams end up picking who's going to be in their seats for next year. So there's the rumors at the moment basically are floating around Haas, and there's a couple of different elements of this. Haas I guess the rumors that we're looking at here are Kamara and Tsunoda for the 2 seats next year. Let's start
for 1 seat.
Or for one seat.
I think it's actually for
this
one
has been the speed at which this has developed has surprised me too.
Yeah.
Last year it was Berriman's coming along really well, good for him. And this year, the speed at which has become like, so Ocon's just a dead man walking, right?
Right. But the interesting thing is, a number of weeks ago, and this is the problem with silly season, is that it's just like a set of dominoes. There were reports about like, well, if Max goes to McLaren, then maybe Red Bull will come in and get Behrman. So, one seat, two seat. Who knows? Because at least we're not in a Fernando Alonso move situation or whatever, where we're waiting for one person to start the whole thing off. Or I guess no, it was Sainz. I guess it was probably the most recent one, right? Where everyone
the entire field's held hostage based on like what one man will do.
Yeah.
So first of all, we're talking about Rafael Camara. We're not talking about Sergio Seta Camara, who is the people might recognize his name from predominantly Formula E. Rafael Camara, and I can never tell because Seta Camara is how they pronounced his name, so I'm not sure if it's Camara or Camara. Rafael Camara, I'm just going to call him from now, is a young driver. He's 21. He has been part of the Ferrari Driver Academy. Seta Camara was part of Red Bull for a number of years. He's not anymore. He has been, he won Formula 3 last year. Rafael has. So, sorry, go on.
Did you say Formula 3 or Formula 2?
Formula 3.
Okay.
Yeah. So he Formula 3, am I gone crazy? I'm pretty sure it's Formula 3.
Yeah, but is he in F2 now?
He's in F2 at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah. And he's doing quite well. He's had a win and some podiums. So yeah, he won F3 in his rookie season. So he's one they're going for. And then the other one is who, we've been talking about Tsunoda ever since he was sort of inauspiciously lost his seat last year. There has been talk, obviously, with Ayo Komatsu. I think probably has some eyes on some of these Japanese drivers, but then also they have their relationship with Honda, right? So there's
Toyota,
sorry.
which is and Tsunoda is a Honda driver, I think, more so than Toyota. So the other name that was floating around this whole time was Ryo Hirakawa, who is another younger prospect coming from Japan, who predominantly raced in. Oh, sorry, I shouldn't say younger prospect. He's probably older than Yuki. He's in his 30s, but he was in Super Formula and Super GT. So there was also talk of him possibly coming over as well. So those are the names that I have seen so far that are floating around with this. But again, like you said, Ocon looks like he's probably a dead man walking. Behrman will likely stick around unless there's some craziness elsewhere. And then, we have everything from a 21-year-old Brazilian to a 32-year-old Japanese veteran almost. And then how old is Yuki?
He's in his 20s.
I think he's mid-20s, 25 or something, is he?
Yeah.
He's 26, yeah. So bit of a spread there, possibly.
Yeah, but Danny, don't you feel, just having watched how these things play out, like Hirakawa's not happening. Like, people are not going in on a 32-year-old driver. So. We all love the Sonny Hayes situation, but like that is not unless there's someone you can uniquely bring to the picture at that like age. You're probably not bringing them into Formula One. The closest equivalent I can think of is when Schumacher got hurt and they had Luca Badoer, the Ferrari factory driver, come in and turned in the most dog shit performances in F1 like that I've ever been seen. And it was really unfortunate because by all accounts, he was an excellent driver, had a sterling reputation, just wasn't capable of making the jump to Formula One. It was embarrassing for all concerned. So that one's probably going to be out. Yuki, I feel like, unfortunately, there's a lot of game tape available on him, right? And it would just be, do you think that is the move? If Ferrari are advocating to get the guy from their program into the seat at Haas, and he's showing that promise, and I don't think it's as important, Danny, as it used to be that you had to like win Formula 2. It used to be sort of like you had to be a top 2 finisher. 100%
agree. Yeah,
I think the Max thing kind of blew that out of the water, where it's like, Formula 2, Formula 1, the transition isn't 1-to-1. Mick won Formula 2. He's driving in last place in IndyCar, effectively. Like they're very different series.
Yep.
And so my gut says like they're going to be looking hard at the guy in Formula 2 that has the factory backing. Ocon, I think, has been unlucky in that, if you think about he gets compared to Gasly a lot because there's the well-known rivalry between them, the bad blood, and skill-wise, where they were in their careers, they were very one-to-one.
Yeah.
Gasly at the key moments in his career, both before departing Red Bull, the second team at Red Bull, and then everything's done at Alpine, he's risen to all those occasions. And he sort of, I think, made a case for Gasly is like a value add to the car, right? You put a generic driver in there, Gasly's going to give you a little bit more. I'm not sure Ocon has made quite the same case for himself. And then I think Behrman coming in and looking considerably more capable that's the kiss of death, right? Because it's like, well, the new guy showed up. He's excellent. Are you giving us the stable, like maximizing it results that we want from a veteran? I don't know if they feel that way about Ocon. Ocon's kind of a prickly guy. He seems like he's gotten better on that front, but yeah, it just feels like he was the right man for Haas coming out of the wilderness of pay drivers and the hapless Steiner years. But now they actually like are kind of on a trajectory where they can build a car to compete here and there, and the expectation got higher much faster than Ocon was ready to meet it.
Yeah, and I think right now we're in a sort of there's a glut of great young drivers and not enough seats, and we always look at these young drivers when they come on in, like in the case of Gasly or Ocon, and you sort of, the question is, maybe we don't say it explicitly, but the question is this a great driver or is this a journeyman? Like,
right.
We will find out eventually. And I think in Ocon's case, he's never risen to that next level. He's been a fantastic, kind of like a K-Mag, or like Hulkenberg's another great example of somebody who we all thought was,
Hulkenberg's like the greatest example of that. And I think that's where I like the Hulkenberg comparison, but Hulkenberg is like the grand champion of that class of driver, where like you're not quite enough to be like one of the stars, but my God, it's like Hulkenberg's like your great understudy on Broadway, right? Where it's like everyone who sees him called up is going to be like, God damn. So we didn't see the star that night. They had the understudy playing the character, but like he was so really fucking good. It was incredible. And that's kind of Hulkenberg, right? Where it's like on his day, he will turn in those performances. And I think everyone would love to have another Hulkenberg. I think to a degree, Valtteri's in his like, are you a Hulkenberg era? And he's kind of
just about to
not
say.
To be, but he's almost there. But even there, that's a high standard. Like if we're gonna keep you around until your 40s in F1, and you're not like a multi-time world champion, then you got to really bring the maximizing of opportunities and just being a great presence on the team. And I'm not sure Ocon is living up to that standard. And so you're kind of going to go fishing for, even if you're like, well, we need a Hulkenberg type character, you're going to say go fish if you're sitting there with Ocon.
Yeah, I was just about to say the same thing about Bottas. In a way, is sort of like if Hulkenberg is the top of the journeyman, Bottas is sort of maybe he's up there, or maybe he's the bottom of the next tier up or something. But I think the other thing that happens is like when you transition into one of these like older drivers who is that steady hand, who's able to communicate well with the team, perhaps has an element of je ne sais quoi, you know what I mean? Like when you get Alonso now, or when you get a Bottas, you're sort of also getting maybe a bit of a fan base or a country, or this element to it. And Ocon, even though he's a driver I've really liked over the years, he comes with a bit more of a bite than some other drivers when it comes, he's not had great fun with his teammates over the years. I don't necessarily think he comes with like a massive fan base either. So I think the longer his career goes on without sort of achieving these other sort of, perhaps not maybe they're less important for the racetrack or for a weekend, but they are added buys. I think when you compare that to younger drivers, to me, he's the type of driver who's definitely under threat, as opposed to somebody like a Bottas or a Hulkenberg, maybe, who, you know, for the right price is the right driver, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Let's take a quick break here, but then we will be back with some quick hits before we get to the track. All right, speaking of contracts, Rob, you found something interesting about Max's.
Yeah, so this comes to us via Carlos Sainz, who's giving an interview to a Spanish language outlet. And he was asked about basically other, Max has been experimenting with other series, and Sainz was asked if there are other drivers on the grid that might be capable of doing the things that Max is doing with regard to like experimenting with other series. And Sainz gave a response that was really interesting. He said, I think that in a 24 race championship with all the marketing interviews we do, that's impossible. No driver could manage it. Well, Max would be the only one, because he's the only one who doesn't do marketing or interviews. He has it written into his contracts. He can afford to do so, and Red Bull accepts it. As for the rest of us, we simply don't have the time or the free capacity to put our energy into a race like that. I did not know that Max basically has all his marketing and sponsor obligations as optional. That is wild. Because we know Lewis never got out of that stuff. Now, I'm not sure Lewis would have wanted to. Lewis always kind of like being the global ambassador type character, but like we also know he got tired of it, and he, when there's that good bit on Drive to Survive last year where him and Antonelli are talking about like the absolute grind that is the schedule. And Hamilton has complained about like how much they're on the hook for taking part in special promotions. The fact
Wasn't
that Max,
it him? I think last week he was saying like this,
the fucking
like,
Lego
the
cars,
Lego races. Like, okay, if these last for this takes up so much time, we should be getting paid for this.
And I'm surprised that like I would have thought that there are like sort of formula, maybe team based stuff, but then also like Formula One based stuff. You know what I mean?
That
like,
stuff
Max
I don't think they
get
can
out of.
Get out of.
Yeah, but then who knows? Like a lot of the Max stuff that's out there, perhaps they do it during a race weekend. Maybe they work around some of the.
I think, did he just make the absolute most of two things? One is that he seems like the kind of guy who would literally just take his ball and go home if he doesn't get what he wants. And so if he was like, no, I'm not doing all these obligations, and I will leave, and you'll watch the best driver on the grid just like depart rather than go like shake hands with watchmakers and their fans. Like maybe that is a card he played. But the other thing is, when did that clause get put into place? Because I do wonder, did he absolutely play the hell out of the position where Marco is desperate to make him happy and line up support for him against Horner? And did Max basically just say, yeah, no, like, I will extend, but my new contract, where you're still paying me more than anyone else on the grid, it also has to mean I don't do anything for marketing or sponsor obligations, which is magnificent. Like, way to go.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, when you're a driver of that caliber, when you're like writing, not the checks literally, but like you've got you're holding all the cards, you can make a lot of demands.
Which also makes me think, though, I just don't see what other team is going to give him the same deal he has at Red Bull. Like, I think short of leaving F1, in which case he can do whatever he wants. If he leaves F1, then he can literally sort of create his own role anywhere else in motorsport. But if he stays within F1, I have a really hard time believing that anyone would match the pay and the perks that he gets without getting any of the sponsor and marketing upside that they usually expect.
Dude, if any other team sign Max, the first thing they're going to do is invite all the neighbors over to look at their new Max.
Their new son.
You know what I mean? Yeah, like there's no like. Could you imagine? Yeah. So yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, around that.
maybe-
but who knows?
Who knows? To me, though, it's wilder that Red Bull would do it too, because like Red Bull's all marketing. The entire thing is like have these characters sort of in proximation to the brand and other things it's doing. For them to get past that, like part of me is like, there's no way Zach Brown wouldn't want to have that guy shellacked in papaya and like, you know, doing events all the time. But maybe they wouldn't see it that way. Maybe the entire thing is still worth it to have our brand, McLaren, with the greatest driver, Verstappen. We don't need him doing events.
Just
Maybe
put in
they
a
would
clause
see it
that's
that
like,
way.
we get to AI generate you anywhere we want. We'll just go like, okay, Max Verstappen, orange, you know, send him to Northern Ireland to do a march. That's a very niche
Danny,
joke.
how
Sorry.
exhausted are you? We're doing marching season jokes we're deploying the Orange Army to Northern Ireland for marching season. What the fuck is happening in your head?
I was gonna say like send him to the moon or so. I was racking my brains for like what's something orange that's not Dutch that you could send him to, and my brain immediately went
Terrible
to the
news for
north.
Northern Ireland. The provisional IRA car bombed Red
have
Bull's hospitality
just
trailer.
have Max walking through a bunch of predominantly Catholic areas banging a drum. You know what I mean?
Fantastic. No, but I think it is
I'm sorry.
one of like incredibly derailed by that. That's so good and so awful. But yeah, I am not sure he could ever have a deal as sweet as the one he has. And so this further makes me think like, dude, you either just got to ride out these lean years at Red Bull, up to and including them occasionally dumping you off the track into a wall, or you got to leave F1 and go like invent what the rest of Max Verstappen's driving career looks like.
Do a Schumacher, disappear for a few years, do your own thing, and then come back. You know what I mean? Like, you know, to me, I think is such a good driver that he could easily skip some of the like wait till the V8s come back. You know what I mean? Like, go do something else, and then
He's also the only guy though who could literally do the like video game thing of being an owner driver.
yeah.
If he wanted to do that,
Yeah.
he's already got
Yeah.
the like. I don't know how much a going concern Team Redline is with the esports thing and how still current he is on that. But he is the only guy who could like literally say, "I'm leaving F1. I want to pursue my racing passions elsewhere," and then have billions of investment lined up behind him immediately to pursue whatever racing series he wants to do.
Yeah, just think about all those hordes of fans all over Europe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
Well, speaking of crashing into walls, Danny, we have a video
Jesus Christ.
of the Madring track.
Yes, there's
Courtesy
a
of
video. Yeah, they posted it on their Instagram, right? It's a video of.
They posted it on X, the Everything platform.
Oh, sorry, it was on X, the Everything platform, of course. I think it's a composite of both Charles and Lewis driving around for real, not on a simulator. They're driving around Madrid. Obviously, there has been lots of fears about the Madrid circuit not being finished on time. So this is at least Ferrari throwing their support behind the track. Yeah, so initial thoughts on this track. I know you have in the notes, you said you felt it looked a little bit like Jeddah.
Oh yeah, like it is all concrete walls and catch fencing.
And so I don't know if it's the concrete walls or if it's maybe it's just the Spanish sky, but I also got some like Valencia vibes off this. Like, and I quite like the old Valencia street circuit track. It was sort of around I guess it wasn't around that long, but it was around during very important years for me in Formula One. Like, it always felt like part of the bread and butter of tracks until I realized it wasn't and it disappeared. I think the part that I'm most interested in, and this reminds me of a Reddit post on a F1 from earlier this week, is they have the big they gave it a name, I forget, but the banked corner that's near the end of the lap here.
Sure.
It's got a pretty big bank on it. And somebody on Reddit during the week was saying, forget the drone cam, bring back the gyro cam. Do you remember they had that camera that was gyroscopic? So when they went on a bank, it stayed
Level.
sort of level, yeah, horizontal,
Let's
horizon
really see
level.
the severity of the banking.
Yeah.
Really
It
cool.
was like so awesome because you'd be like, ooh.
Yeah, I think they still do that a lot in NASCAR.
Oh, that's great.
I
Yeah.
think it's a common. Yeah, and
That's
maybe
that's a
IndyCar.
great
Yeah.
use for it, especially on the on the banked walls of NASCAR. But yeah, it's gonna be so hard to tell on this one. It's another lots of high speed corners. But yeah, it is. There's something about, I think it's when you see some of these walls before they have maybe advertising or barriers in front of them, it just looks very intimidating.
Yeah,
So I'll be
like a
interested
wall
to
of
see what
concrete.
the final versions look like. But yeah,
Well, maybe.
I'm of the case where I used to be a lot more pessimistic about new tracks, and I want to go back and listen to what I said about Baku before we race there, because that is a track that if you showed me pictures of it and showed me the circuit layout, which is just a bunch of 90-degree corners, I would have said this is
I don't know,
a bad
man.
idea.
I
But
think Baku had so many visual items of interest though in it. I think I am curious what you said like coming into it, but I do think Baku looked promising just like at the eye test level.
Yeah.
Whereas like I don't know, we've been totally disproven about Miami. Like Miami's had some good races, but I still think it's like deeply uninspired. This also looks kind of uninspired.
it's
like
Rizless, as the kids
turn
say.
one feels like the same turn one we have in every single one of these new street circuits.
I think Herman Tilke has that written into his contract. He's like just used the same one. Actually, was he involved in this? I'm sure he was. I'm pretty sure he was. I'm pretty sure his company was in some way.
Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, it's not Rizless is a good way to put it. And the F1 calendar, it needs Riz.
We need Riz.
So does the game release calendar, Rob.
Yeah. So iRacing is, we've come full circle. iRacing is made by I think David Keimer, who was the guy who made the original Indy 500, the simulation computer game.
Oh,
And then made IndyCar Racing 2, and Grand Prix Legends with Prerace.
oh yeah.
And then after Grand Prix Legends, he just kind of disappears and he resurfaces to make iRacing, which was basically picked up from where Grand Prix Legends left off, like really intimidating physics, barely like you're not going to have fun playing this, guys. Like, get ready for real racing. And moved it to this online model where there's going to be, online stewarding and live events, like real enforcement of racing standards. And that bet has proven wildly successful. He correctly read where the sim market was going, what people were willing to pay for a truly premium experience, and so Papyrus disappeared, and all things were iRacing, and they don't make standalone like racing sim games anymore. Until now, where after some false starts, IndyCar had been trying to figure out who was going to make a good video game about IndyCar racing, and they tried to go with some other vendors, and I remember they were not well received. But the big controversy with it was, how can you have anyone make an IndyCar game? Because iRacing effectively is already a partner with all the existing grid, right? Remember when IndyCar, like the COVID year, they did a bunch of iRacing events that were pretty fucking excellent, and all the drivers under the age of 35 had iRacing setups. They all knew what it was, and they were sort of native to it. So when IndyCar's original plans to make an IndyCar game sort of fell apart, iRacing, they stepped up and they announced that they were partnering with iRacing. And so effectively we're getting IndyCar Racing, the game, that in a weird way, like maybe if you sort of squint, this is Papyrus's IndyCar Racing 3. If they get Paul Page to do the intro, I'll be happy as a clam.
Wow, yeah.
However, it was delayed until 2027. So they're not going to release the game until 2027 for all platforms. They released some new screenshots. It sure looks like iRacing. but that's not necessarily a bad thing, right? Like the idea of just having a ready to go version of iRacing that's just IndyCar is not a bad idea. But I do wonder, like, how will it compare with what people now expect in the console space from like things like Codemasters, where you've got a little more of the like glitz and glamour of IndyCar now of F1. Now, admittedly, IndyCar's glitz and glamour is a little different than Formula One. It's a little bit more hot dogs and hamburgers, a little bit more pure Americana, or in the case of this week, occasionally sending some of your sport's biggest stars to go meet with Donald Trump before the race they're holding in DC next month, the Freedom 250 Grand Prix.
They're not
God
calling.
help
Are
us.
they really calling it that as well? Oh my god.
Yep. A 1.7 mile track around the mall, the National Mall. It'll go through past the Archives National Gallery.
Well, now I feel better about the Madrid because this is just, at least it's not that. Like that's, I've driven around DC a lot in my life, and I don't,
At 200 miles an hour, Danny,
good point.
with an American flag waving out the back of your pickup.
Oh,
There's not much.
This grim
When I
picture
lived around the DMV, that wasn't the flavor, but I know how in recent years it might have been. It might be at the moment. I think they should roll it back the whole way. The only IndyCar game I ever played growing up was Newman Haas Racing, which was
there was a game.
There
Newman
was
Haas racing game,
and you're never going to believe who made it. It was a Signosis joint.
Oh my god!
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I played
the
it
real
on
shit.
PC, but it was a PlayStation game predominantly, I believe. It was based on their, I want to say, Formula One. I think it came in 96 or 97. Their Signosis' Formula One game. They did make another one in 1997. But I think this was, I don't want to call it an asset flip, but I think it was based on their F1 game that they had put out. But of course, Signosis known for everything from, Lemmings to Wipeout to
Colony Wars.
all manner of stuff. Colony Wars. Absolutely. Wait, Lemmings was Lemmings was DMA. Sorry, yeah.
They did make a Lemmings game though. Signosis did.
Did they?
Yeah.
God, I'm not surprised. They're in the same.
No.
general-
Signosis is Lemmings. I'm on their
Signosis
wiki.
is Lemmings.
Yep.
Why am I
Legendary
having
name.
a weird DMA related? I did a documentary on this. You think I'd remember?
pull it up.
I don't remember any stories I wrote like past like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah,
Like,
that's the
you
problem.
get it out and then you have to like literally flush it from your brain.
Colony Wars. They made a bunch of other stuff. Yeah, I literally went back and watched a no-clip doc that I did like 3 or 4 years ago.
You're like, this is
and was
great.
like, this is good.
guy should make more of these.
I couldn't remember it. I had done like links in it that that's why it was. It was developed by DMA. It was published by Signosis. Lemmings was.
Got it.
DMA would then, of course, turn into what we now call Rockstar Games. But
I did not know that lineage was there.
Yeah,
but either way, if you want to see some bleak pictures of IndyCar drivers, Alex Palou, Felix Rosenqvist, and Dave Malukas accepting challenge coins from Donald Trump, those pictures exist. Does sort of cast one's mind back to the One Nation, One Race merch that IndyCar had to immediately delete after releasing.
when was that?
That was
recently?
run up to this year's IndyCar 500. Indy 500.
Were you not on that episode, Danny?
One Nation, One Race.
Yeah. The Indy 500.
Nobody put their hands up in the meeting when that came up.
I'm sure someone did, but
They're like, we should have a T-shirt that says IndyCar over everyone. We should, Wow, that is amazing. Fair play.
Well, Danny, let's now take it to the Ardennes Forest for
Let's do it.
the race in the bulge.
The battle, the only bulge that I have right now is the one for Spa-Francorchamps.
There it is.
There we go. I was talking to my wife about the Battle of the Bulge. Okay, now I almost stepped in it there. That was a real close one. She was playing Fortnite and trying to make World War II jokes, and hers were quite basic. And then I threw in some really complicated ones, and then she was like, "This is why you're a dad, because you just go for the really obscure World War II things." Battle of the Bulge, though, not obscure at all. Anyway, I digress. I have to finish talking about this before I fall asleep because of my lack of sleep. Spa-Francorchamps, if you're new to F1, this is largely considered one of the, favorites, fan favorites. It is a classic track. It has been with us all the way since 1950. The original version of this track was a 15-kilometer endurance track, basically.
It's like 10 miles.
Yeah, absolutely insane. Rip-roaring through the Ardennes Forest, which is an area of Belgium. It's hilly and foresty, and a lot of World War II stuff happened here.
That was the track that this car didn't come around when we thought it would. It must be lost somewhere in the woods.
Yes, from the 1920s to 1950, before Formula One, they were driving on this thing. And then once Formula One was driving on it, I think more of that was sort of spread around, perhaps, where, yes, you would have a car, barreling through, a tin can with wheels barreling through these old roads, and then, flying off into the trees, and then nobody realizes for 50 minutes that somebody hasn't come around. So yeah, completely mad track, really. It wasn't until 79 that we sort of came to the version that we have now, largely this sort of 7-kilometer 4.35 mile version. It's still the longest track, though, in F1, which means we have the fewest amount of laps here than we would have, than say Monaco, obviously. It is a absolutely made for television, made for helicopters looking ass track. I think it has 3 of the most distinct sectors in Formula One. Sector 1 happening largely on the sort of crest of the hill that is Spa-Francorchamps. Sector 2 being the sort of toboggan down the hill, element of the track, and then Sector 3 being sort of a bit of a faster, sort of race to the finish line sort of part of the track. Lots of long straights here. Some pretty deep braking zones here and there. It's not as long, straight, fast, cornery as some of the tracks we've been in recently. There are a couple of spots here, especially after the various straights, where there is heavy braking zones in them. But yeah, if we're looking at the current cars we have at the moment, this, the pessimist would say Mercedes have this one locked down just because of the amount of straight line speed bias that's here, unless Ferrari are able to. There's been reports that perhaps they've been able to find a couple of tenths over the past month or so with development stuff. But then the other big question mark for Spa, of course, is weather, not just because, rain can affect a track, but because of the size of Spa and because of the nature of things like, relief rain and things like that, the fact that it's up in the hills means that you can often get weather that impacts one part of the track or perhaps moves across the track during the race. So yes, weather has often given us some of the best and some of the worst. I'm sure Russell wouldn't think so. Races of F1 history. So many great memories here. I have friends, I have relatives and friends who've been to this track a bunch over the years. Apparently, it's a real experience to go watch a Formula One race here. But yes, hopefully for us watching at home, it's a good one. And yes. The segue to weather is required here.
Yeah, we're looking at currently 0% chance of precipitation over qualifying and the race. Although, it is one of those weird microclimate kind of areas. So I would say asterisk, anything could happen. Cool temps
I was about to
forecasted.
say,
64 Fahrenheit or 18 Celsius for qualifying, and even cooler. We're looking at 60 or 16 Celsius on race day.
Yeah, because that I think the heat wave that's been the latest heat wave that's been hitting Europe was moving east, and I think will have largely passed by the time we get to the race.
Yeah.
It's about 1,500 feet above sea level, Spies, so it's up a bit, but it's not It's not like up in, because I was wondering if its height would make a difference with the heat, but I think it's more just that that heat dome or whatever is moving on.
Yeah. Personally, I've not rated this one too highly over the years.
Yeah, recent years haven't been great.
Last year I rated it a 2 out of 4. The year before that, 24, was a 3, then a 2, and then a 1, and then a 0 for the 2021 race, which was effectively rained out. So,
Yeah, it's not been great for the past.
We got new regs
years.
though. Maybe that'll change things up.
I honestly, I'm more pessimistic about this year's SPAD than I would have been about last year's when the pack was a little bit closer. I think we're running into a little bit of the field getting spread out.
And Red
over the
Bull's out
course
there
of these
going
races.
like this is an energy starved track, so
Yeah.
we're not gonna be too hot. But going into the weekend, we got Kimi Antonelli on top of the drivers' championship with 179 points, ahead of his teammate George Russell with 154. Lewis Hamilton in third, close behind with 147, and then Charles Leclerc in fourth with 108. 2 by 2 they go. Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri in fifth and sixth with 97 and 82 respectively, and then Max Verstappen and Isaac Hadjar in seventh and eighth with 76 and 52 respectively. Then combo breaker.
What?
Pierre Gasly in ninth, and then the 2 racing bulls of Liam Lawson and Arvid Lindblad in 10th and 11th. Oliver Behrman is in 12th, followed by the other Alpina, Franco Colapinto, in 13th. Then we've got Gabriel Bortoleto in 14th, Carlos Sainz in 15th. They are tied on points with 6. Then we got Alex Albon in 16th, Esteban Ocon 17th, Fernando Alonso 18th. He's got 1 point, and then Nico Hulkenberg, Valtteri Bottas, Sergio Perez, and Lance Stroll all have 0. Mercedes is on top of the team standings with 333 points to Ferrari's 255.
Very devilish. 333. They're halfway to hell, baby.
My favorite AC/DC song. McLaren is in third.
Halfway to hell.
With 150. A friend of mine in middle school thought the Kiss song went, "I want to rock and roll all night and part of every day."
Let's not go crazy here,
Right.
folks. Not all day. Like, we gotta sleep at some stage.
Right.
But I love that. Oh my god, Eggcorns.
Yeah.
It's great stuff.
McLaren's third with 179. Red Bull is fourth with 128. Alpine is fifth with 60. 1 point ahead of Racing Bulls with 59 and sixth. Gene Haas and team
every day.
are
Oh yeah, I
seventh.
totally see it. It's great. That's all I'm gonna hear now. It's great.
Haas is 7th with 21. Williams is 8th with 11. Audi is in 9th with 6. Aston Martin's in 10th with 1. And Cadillac in 11th with 0. All right. If you'd like to join the standings yourself, you can do so using the link in the show notes to join the official Shift F1 Fantasy League. You can also hit us up on the emails, shiftf1podcast@gmail.com or f1.cool/emails. Rob, what's going on in email land this week?
So before we got into Death Race, I put to the audience, what was the first time we had sort of dystopian blood sport fiction popping up as a recurring motif? And we got some answers.
Okay.
Richard writes, "Hello Shifties. Disclaimer: I've never actually gotten around to watching this, so I'm not 100% sure if it's just inside or just outside what you're looking for. But I do think that either way, this is a useful data point in the earliest national blood sport media discussion." A link to the wiki for Das Millionspiel.
Oh god.
Richard continues, "It's a 1970 movie from West Germany based on 1958 short story that seems conceptually quite similar to The Running Man. It seems, if I'm being honest, completely awesome." From the wiki, Das Millionspiel, the Game of Millions, is a popular. This is the plot summary. Is a popular show on the fictional TETV channel. To win the Grand Prize of 1 million German marks, a candidate has to survive 7 days on the run while being hunted by the Kohler Gang. Of the first 14 candidates, 8 were killed during the course of the game. Bernard Lotz from Leverkusen is the show's 15th candidate. After almost a week without sleep and food, he is in agony and on the verge of physical collapse. Lotz could drop out, but there's the prospect of the grand prize of 1 million marks. He knows the fate of his predecessors. When he forfeited the game, he was so derided as a coward, he eventually committed suicide.
Oh my God.
So very German, very
Yes,
dark,
absolutely.
very, like, we're just going to focus on the suffering angle of all this, but I'm into that. However, let's see who else wrote in here. Johnny from Melbourne wrote in response to Rob's musings around early works that depict societies with blood sport as a central pillar of how they operate. I'm currently reading the short novel Gladiator at Law by Frederick Pohl and C.M. Kornbluth, published in 1955, which depicts America 200 years in the future, where the population is divided into slum dwellers who live in the fun-sounding belly rave and those that live in electronically operated dream houses. The chief hope of escape from the slums is to win a prize in one of the organized field days, aka Roman-style bloodsport games. Probably not the first, but a lesser-known and certainly very early take on the genre. Also has some really great unhinged book covers. Cheers, Johnny from Melbourne. Anonymous just wrote, check out the short story The Lottery by Shirley Jackson from 1948.
Oh my God, these Gladiator at Law book covers are absolutely deranged. I'll be honest, when I heard you say Gladiator at Law, it sounded like fanfic.
It does.
Like it was
Or
like
an
it was
SNL
like
sketch.
It does.
Yeah, exactly. It's like
Unfrozen
Russell
Caveman
Crowe
lawyer type
as a
vibes
lawyer.
too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like,
Your Honor, I'm just a simple gladiator. Your way
are
is
you not
frightening and
entertained,
confuse me.
Your Honor? You know.
Yeah. So some good entries there for us to contemplate.
Rob, you'll be pleased to learn that Das Millionenspiel is available in Blu-ray from pdocs-film.de.
Sounds like we've got
€12.90.
Hell yeah.
August patron exclusive podcast. How about that? I just can't get over Belly Rave. That's a band name. That's right there.
Yeah.
Sounds incredible.
Yeah. Put some glow sticks in your hands and smack your belly. Belly Rave. Let's go.
Should I take this next one from Mitch?
Please do.
All right. Mitch writes, hello, just a quick note about Liz's question from today's podcast. I love when listeners talk to each other.
Yes.
You all were correct that there is nothing stopping drivers from serving a 5 or 10-second penalty during a virtual safety car or safety car. However, drive-throughs and stop-go penalties cannot be served under virtual safety car. Somewhere in the back of my head, I remembered this being a major factor in a race once, so I had to look it up. In the 2020 Italian Grand Prix, with the Gasly win, Lewis and Antonio Giovinazzi got stop-go penalties for boxing when the pit lane was closed to clear Kevin Magnussen's stricken car. Giovinazzi and Hamilton were unable to serve their penalties during the laps of safety car that quickly followed when Leclerc crashed at Parabolica, nor could they serve it during the in or out laps that came due to the red flag. They had to restart the race and then pit under green, which shuffled them to the back and allowed Gasly to get his win.
Great pull, Mitch. Yeah, I remember that. As you were reading it, I was like, oh yeah, I remember that. It was like a confluence of errors. That was a mad race.
Yeah.
That one. Yeah. Great
Thanks,
call,
Mitch.
Mitch. That's the beauty of it, isn't it? That's why I love... Is that why I love F1? Recently, I've become a bit of like a rules nerd on Blue Sky about Formula One stuff, and people have been asked because I got my referee badge last year, and I like the sort of like
Wait, what does that mean?
Did the test to be a referee for football, soccer,
Like kids soccer?
Yeah, exactly.
Or
yeah.
you're a FIFA
Well, I mean,
referee.
any type of soccer, Drew. It doesn't have to be kids. You know.
Okay.
I can, professionals maybe. Or...
There's a guy I worked with at Digital Eclipse who was not really a sports guy, but his kid got into baseball.
Oh, okay.
And he was like, yeah, sure, I'll be an umpire. And then as a game designer, he was like, you guys, baseball is incredible.
Oh, that's awesome.
And
that's
got
awesome.
So into it.
That's so good. It
Yeah.
tickled.
It's a good segue to the next email.
Way in. Yeah. Oh, really?
Danny, you want to take this next one from Dante?
Sure. Okay. Hi there, Shift F1 crew. 6 weeks ago on a random Sunday. Sorry, I need to roll this back. This is from Dante in Uruguay, which I think might be, no offense to anyone else, that might be the coolest name country combination we've had so far in emails. Dante from Uruguay. 6 weeks ago on a random Sunday, I watched the Formula One movie without expecting to like it much. Right after that, I watched the first season of Drive to Survive in 2 sittings. Since then, I've watched every Drive to Survive season, listened to every commentary episode you've done on it, and every preseason primer since 2018, and postseason
Whoa.
unavailable. I'm basically counting the days until each race weekend. Before 6 weeks ago, I didn't care much about cars. Now, to my family and friends' dismay, I'm constantly reading articles about tire strategies and power units and speaking about Formula One. And you guys, what unexpected hobbies have you randomly picked up that ended up taking a significant amount of your life? I'm forever grateful to now be part of the Shift F1 fandom and to be able to listen to Danny's utterly charming laughter each week. Thanks, bro. Hope you like my Protestant jokes. Rob's baritone endless pit of knowledge. And Drew, the James Bond of games media. Congratulations on your twins. Peace. Dante from Uruguay. Thank you, Dante.
Thank you, Dante.
Yeah. You guys want to have a little think about that?
Man,
Little-
this happened like
This
the
happens to you every
unexpected
fucking
deep dive.
6 months.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, or sooner. I mean, maybe the deepest dive was getting my pilot's license. That was a big one.
Almost as hard as me getting my children's referee badge.
Yeah. Recently, oh man.
You did I guess your sim stuff you like to do that with. You're often like watching, like getting into weird subgenres of movies, or like
Sure.
you
I
read
got my
a lot
ham
as
radio
well.
license.
You did, you got your, yeah.
A deep, brief dive. But now I got it.
You got it.
It's for life, baby. I mean, I've been getting very much into, I don't know, think a lot about analog technology these days. My wife got me a typewriter.
Nice.
For Christmas.
What'd you get?
I've got a Smith Corona Silent from 1952.
Nice.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I just this is a good example. I needed a new book, and so I ordered a short story collection by Tom Hanks
Oh yeah.
called Uncommon Type. Every story of which features a typewriter.
He's big into typewriters.
Oh,
That's like his like little kink he's got.
Watch
Yeah.
California Typewriter.
Yes, it is
the
on
little
YouTube.
documentary
It is.
where he speaks extensively about how much he loves that shop and typewriters.
That's pretty
Yes,
cool.
that's now the actual shop is now closed, but there's like a new shop in its style that the guy now works at called
cool.
Berkeley Typewriter, which is my local California.
Oh
or my
wow.
local
Yeah.
typewriter shop. Yep.
Was California Typewriter in the Bay?
Yeah, it was in Berkeley, I think.
And Tom Hanks is from Oakland.
That's right, and he actually showed up at Berkeley Typewriter a couple weeks ago.
No way.
Yeah.
That's it. And Tom Hanks and Tupac. We were trying to figure out on the No Clip podcast if Cheech and Chong were, because Jeremy had a story where once he went into a dispensary in Berkeley and Chong was sitting there on a couch. And I was like, that is the most stoner story I've ever heard, because who knows if it's true.
Exactly.
I think he owns the dispensary. Something like
Okay.
that. Sure. They are from SoCal, though. I don't know. Mine are. But during COVID, I got big into my Mustang was stolen. My first car I ever owned.
And so Danny became a vigilante.
So exactly.
Began hunting car thieves, breaking up.
I'm not telling the
chop
story
rings.
again about the meth and the dildo, but we'll, Dante, go back in the pod. I'm sure I mentioned it at one stage.
You did. You told that story. I don't know what episode
it was a
it was.
wild one. Yeah. But no, I got a Jeep after that, and I got into Jeeping.
Well, you're an American now.
Exactly. Yeah. So I've slept on my Jeep, in my Jeep. I've done, I don't know how many states in it at this stage. I've done rock crawling and fjorded rivers with my family in it and all that stuff. So I think that's probably one. That, and I guess animal husbandry in more recent years. Goats and chickens. Yesterday, my daughter was trying to convince me to. She was at a local. What do you call those places? What you get
School.
animals from?
Oh,
Pet shop.
No, like rescues.
You mean
Whatever the
animal shelter?
Humane Society or whatever. Yeah, animal shelter. She said there was a pig in one of them. Wow. I was like, oh man, I do want a pig. But you can't really have one pig. There's some animals that are just like, yeah, like herd animals. You can't be just having one of them because they'll be just be miserable. It's like, this is the problem is like when we got goats, it was like, oh, you got to get a bunch of goats. And then, you know, you want to get like you can get protective animals for herd animals. So like oftentimes if you're like worried about like mountain lions or, you know, I don't know, coyotes or something, you get like a donkey to keep an eye on the goats. But you can't just have one donkey because donkeys are smart. So now you got to get two donkeys. So you end up in this like, there's like this, it's like chicken math. Have you ever heard of chicken math? It's the same problem where like every time anyone gets into chickens, we have 3 chickens. We have 5 pullets at the moment. They're about 6 weeks old. So they're growing up. They're going to have to transition in. Whenever you like think how many animals you're going to get, you got to like triple it because like what's going to happen is you're either going to, this is cool. I want more of these. They're bored, or you think some are going to die and they don't, and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Rob,
so, anyway, I want to get 2 pigs now.
Yeah, I mean, for me, new hobbies that are evolving. You know, ultimately, I got a nice set of speakers a few years ago from my father-in-law. And then ever since then, it has been a slow, like that plus getting the new place where now we don't have downstairs neighbors. There's more space to spread out. Yeah. Like that is when I discovered that no, there is an untapped well of interest in this. Like I become the sort of audiophile that I sort of used to roll my eyes at a little bit, where it's more. I never understood people who made it like a whole big deal out of like, I have separates. I don't use integrated anything. And I was like, well, that seems stupid. Like, why wouldn't you just want an AV receiver or like an integrated amplifier that does all the, you just put your inputs in, it kicks stuff out to the speakers, done. It's all you need. And then suddenly I was like, no, I need a preamplifier because I'm unhappy with the signal I'm getting off this one input. And I don't like how the AV receiver is rendering music. Like suddenly you could hear it where it's like, oh no. Like this isn't as musical as the stuff that's plugged directly into the amp. So now I need to create a separate line for stuff to just reach the speakers. And that led me to I was like, I need to create an all analog signal path. I need to have no digital intermediation. And so now I'm in vinyl land. And the thing I like about it, but also this is the curse. It's more, I'm going to get very philosophical for a moment here. Once you let go of the notion that any true or correct version of your favorite song or your favorite album exists, a whole world of possibilities opens to you.
Whoa.
Because you start to realize that your favorite music, what you've heard is just one, like the equipment you heard it on, the medium you heard it through, that is one version of that exists, but it's not the only version. And you can find that very annoying. And some audiophiles go that route of like, I must identify the one true like recording and reproduction method for this album. Or you can lean into the chaos and variety of it. That, this thing that was made in 1979 for vinyl changed when it was moved to CD a decade later. And then it changed again when it was remastered for an anniversary reissue. And then there was a new version that went back to the original masters and remastered from those. And then there's a new vinyl pressing. And all of those are subtly different. And then you can start really just drinking deeply of, well, hang on, in a weird way, you get to enjoy your favorite music like infinite number of times for the first time, because different version plus different equipment changes it in subtle ways. And so now I am like, I have gone down this rabbit hole of, I'm trying to identify, like, do I prefer the vinyl versions of these albums or like are the CD versions adequate? Why do they sound so different than the ones on streaming? Well, those are the remasters and they kind of fucked those up. Wait a second, I haven't gone this route yet, but like, what are these super audio CD editions
that
came out? And then the final thing I've gotten into of late, in addition to like I've got a preamplifier now and power amplifier. Increasingly, like I have an AV receiver that basically only powers the center speaker and does nothing else.
Oh my God, you've got to be kidding me.
Yeah, no, it's ridiculous. I got into music Blu-rays that have 5 point.
It's not reading a file. It is playing the music off of
A Blu-ray disc.
like a CD.
Yeah. And they are awesome, Danny.
Is this like a custom thing?
So it didn't really. They were experimenting with it in the Blu-ray era and the early Blu-ray era and the late DVD era. They didn't really totally catch on, but they become sort of a boutique item. And what is cool about them?
Crazy.
I just bought from this one label, Super Deluxe Edition, that does these reissues on Blu-ray of like classic albums. Fine Young Cannibals, Raw and the Cooked. Great album. It has every mix ever released of that album on the Blu-ray, including like a 5.1 mix. And turns out 5.1 music can be very, very cool. And again, gimmicky in some cases, but also like transformative in others.
I wanted to ask this question because I was looking at like, what's going on in the world of audiophile for like television these days. You got sound bars and all these bits and bobs. And like I was on the Reddit and looking at like, 5.1, 7.1. And all of those people were like, do not do surround sound. Surround sound is a gimmick. It is not like worth what's your take on that? Like, I understand that like most TVs or movies that you're streaming are not like, they don't have true 5.1 or 7.1, so they're just kind of like interpreting it and splitting it off in different ways. But do you disagree?
I strongly disagree. I
Okay.
think people like, so I think what I'll say is this. Most sound bars and things like that will try and make you think like, I can do a surround mix with this sound bar and maybe 2 rear satellites, and they really can't. They can't do it. They're faking it. You can't turn a sound bar into 2 really good stereo speakers in the front of your room. And I think that's caused some people to view like surround sound as like fake. And it's been exacerbated by like everything now comes out in an Atmos mix that's designed to work with these sound bars and all their limitations. Right. But like, no, if you have like a good Atmos mix that's leveraging a good like distributed surround sound with like 5.1 or higher, if you have like an old DTS 5.1 mix, those sound incredible. And you're not going to convince me that like there are audiophiles who are like, all of these are the devil. You should just have 2 big front speakers and that's it.
Right.
And I think that's a really reductive way of looking at it. It is cool to have rear speakers activating, especially if you got like a big action movie. The other thing that really turned me around on it, even for music, is Dire Straits' Brothers in Arms released an Atmos mix of that album. Oh, wow. That is an album that I know pretty much anyone in our generation knows pretty well, right? It's the first big CD of that era. You hear it even if you're not a Dire Straits fan. But the 5.1 mix changes that album.
Oh yeah,
and becomes like a really excellent way to experience the album. It is different. It's not gimmicky. It's awesome. It also doesn't replace the old album. It's just different. Yeah. And that turned me around on it. So like, this is the rabbit hole I'm falling down, where it's like now I'm sort of like looking at, I want this pressing of this album. But wait, what's this? It had a really good super audio CD release that hasn't been matched. I guess I need to get a super audio CD player. Let's see what's happening in that market. Oh, they're $14,000? Okay, well, maybe not. Wait, there's some that are available for a few hundred, but they're from like the late 90s, early 2000s, and will probably stop working entirely any minute now.
Croatian eBay.
Yeah, so there is that, but it is fully become the pipeline from like, hey, these are 2 really nice old speakers. I need a good amplifier to work with them. It has now blossomed into, so what even is truth? What is like, what really is when we say music, what do we really mean by that?
feel like you guys are maybe the only people that would find this interesting, but and apologies, we are getting along, but when I worked at Digital Eclipse, we took Rock and Roll Racing, which has a bunch of like Super Nintendo versions of like 80s, 70s and 80s rock songs as its soundtrack. And we, as part of like a Blizzard anniversary collection, Digital Eclipse like made the SNES version widescreen and like all these other upgrades to it. And part of the upgrades were putting the real songs in.
Oh, that's
and so,
funny.
As a producer,
nuts.
It fell to me to like we partnered with some music licensing company. It fell to me to listen to all the different versions of these songs and select the ones that I liked the most.
Oh, that's
I was like
amazing.
Downloading WAV files, not even FLAC or high bitrate MP3s, WAV files, and listening to like 4 versions of Deep Purple's Highway Star.
That is crazy.
And that one specifically, I listened to all of them, and only one of them gave me goosebumps, and that's the one that I went with.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's a great story.
Which, if I recall correctly, is the 97 remaster.
Okay. Oh, production,
The Blizzard Arcade Collection available now.
Yeah, go play Lost Vikings. Good stuff.
Yep. All right. Excellent emails.
Yes.
Shift+F1podcast@gmail.com or f1.cool/emails. You can also hit us up on the socials. That is us around the internet. Should we take it around the world, Danny?
Let's race around the world. Yeah. The little 5.1 version.
The World Rally Championship is in Tartu for Rally Estonia.
The Isle of Tartu.
The
Michael
jester
Bolton can't wait. The
Tartu.
jester out of Tartu.
Formula 2 will be supporting Formula 1 this weekend in Spa. We've got the Craftsman trucks in North Wilkesboro, North Carolina at the North Wilkesboro Speedway for the Window World 250.
Whoa. Am I in Window World? I can't tell because it's all windows.
They're so clear.
I know. I can see everything else.
Super Formula is at Fuji Speedway this weekend in Oyamacho, Suntoku, in Shizuoka Prefecture.
Oh, classic prefecture.
The Motocross Grand Prix is in the UK. Okay. Swindon.
Oh, it's in Swindon.
At the Fox Hill track for the Monster Energy MXGP of Great Britain.
Wow.
The IndyCar series is in Lebanon, Tennessee, at the Nashville Super Speedway for the Music City Grand Prix. The NHRA is in Sonoma, Danny, for the Denso Sonoma Nationals. I'll bet you could hear it from your house.
Yeah.
I went to a drag race one time. It is the loudest thing I've ever experienced.
I've always wanted to go to one. They used to race. I think they used to do cops versus racers.
Top the Cops. Yeah.
Top the Cops. Yeah. That's a cool concept. Yeah.
And we got NASCAR. Also at North Wilkesboro for the you'll never guess. It's the Window World 450.
Window World have this locked down.
Wait a minute. Okay, so on the calendar it says the truck series race is the Window World 250, but on the actual NASCAR website, it's the Faith Fest 250.
Oh, Faith Fest. Hell yeah. Great New Blood video game. Let's get into it. So when they say Faith Fest, that to me sounds like it's like a festival of all faiths. You know? They got I'm sure that's what it is,
I'm
right?
sure that's what it is.
I'm sure that's what it is.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's like all faiths welcome.
Right. Yep.
Who's your favorite? Jesus? Muhammad?
Hill?
Other Jesus? This other interpretation of Jesus? Jesus, but it's okay to get divorced? Hippie Jesus?
Danny ready over to North Ireland, straighten all this stuff
back
out
again.
right now.
Exactly, we're going back. Which version of Jesus do you like, eh?
The Belgian Grand Prix at Spa kicks off this
That was
weekend.
the worst Northern Irish accent I've ever done. Jesus Christ.
Friday, July 17th. Free practice 1 is at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Time, followed by free practice 2 at 11 a.m. Saturday, July 18th. Free practice 3 is at 6:30 a.m., followed by qualifying at 10 a.m. Eastern. But the race, everyone, Sunday, July 19th at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Did you know, I just want to add a little more about the Apple TV app here. They also do the multi-view. So you can put up the data tracker
Wait,
alongside.
through the Sky broadcast?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
On the Sky broadcast as well, you could do
Yes.
That's interesting.
Yeah, even
That
after
was, by the
fact.
way, all our emails for this week. Is
Okay.
like we had the few emails I read, like I pulled for us, and then everything else was various things about Sky and Apple.
Yeah. Oh, really? Okay. Yeah, that's the way the cookie crumbles.
Yep. All right, well, that's what's going on this weekend. Danny, what happened this day in history?
This day in history on July 14th. Let's get into it. Some people only watch motorsport for the crashes.
Or
some
write
people-
books.
Thank you. Took the words right out of my mouth. And they would not have been disappointed. Great. In 1973 at the British Grand Prix at Silverstone, when Jody Scheckter lost control and spun his car at Woodcott, his McLaren hit the pit wall and then bounced back into the middle of the track, just as the chasing pack arrived. With so many cars arriving and only so much track, a big shunt was inevitable, and 10 cars were caught up in the chaos as the race had to be restarted. Sounds like nobody died. The book would have definitely... They should have
book
little
would have told
skull symbols on the side. Maybe I should start writing them in, you know? Nigel Mansell took the third British Grand Prix victory of his career today in 1991, having beaten his rival Ayrton Senna. After Mansell took the checkered flag, Senna's McLaren ground to a halt, having run out of fuel while running in second. On his victory lap, Mansell stopped at Senna's car and the Brazilian climbed aboard the Englishman's Williams for a lift back to the pits as the crowd cheered. And then really annoyingly, they have a picture of Nigel Mansell. It's one of the few images in this book if you're watching
But
this on
not
YouTube.
of him driving Senna.
Right, one of the most iconic pictures.
Some photos
of
are more expensive to license than others.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Now you can sort of imagine what Ayrton Senna may have looked like riding on this car.
Should have drawn a little picture of him there on the side. Exactly. Man, oh man.
All right.
There you go.
Well, final thoughts ahead of Belgium, Danny.
I didn't fall asleep during this podcast, so feeling pretty good about that.
Congrats. Go take a nap.
Looking forward to editing this after this and hearing what I said. I'll be getting up ready to watch it. Hopefully it's a fun one. Hopefully it's a safe one, of course. And hopefully the Ferraris can take the battle. And if they can't, let's get a good Mercedes championship battle up there. See if Kimi and Georgie can have a bit of argy-bargy.
Great. Final thoughts, Rob.
I like this tired Danny. I hope Danny continues to show up exhausted and sleep deprived on Tuesday mornings.
Well, if you would like to support Danny and the show and get access to all of our bonus episodes, the early ad-free version of the podcast, and the official Shift+F1 Discord, you can do so over at patreon.com/ShiftF1. Have a good race weekend, everyone. We will see you all next week.